Action. Welcome to Pro Talk. This is our second or third episode. Is it, Trev? Is our second episode or third? Okay, third. So, welcome to the third episode of Pro Talk, aka Producer Talk. Today, I'm just blessed to have on the program with us one of my esteemed colleagues, legendary producer. He's been doing it damn near as long as I did. We're both older. We're older. Matter of fact, we're like fine vintage wine. Like I like that because that stuff appreciates.
Exactly.
Welcome to the program, Kerry, Crucial brothers. How you doing, brother?
Thank you, man. Thank you, man. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. As you know, we just talking offline. I had to go get a COVID test today. So I feel good. So I hope I'm COVID free. I want to stay.
You look like you're glowing to me. I think.
Yeah, I want to stay COVID free. I mean, I feel good. You know what I mean? The studio's great. Shout out to No ID. He showed me this room that he has. It has the most unbelievable collection of vintage gear that I have ever seen. And I've seen some rooms and I've seen some collections. I've been all around the world and seen studios. Shout out to No ID because I'm so inspired now. He's got me in and out of reverb. Let me shout out some of the fellas in the building and the ladies in the building. We got a young lady, a very talented singer-songwriter from Norway in the building. Maritola, how you doing? We got Jimmy, my man from Brooklyn, producer, rapper in the building. We got March 85 in the building. We got Pomegranate Shaw in the building. We got Top Shot in the building. We got Nick Jagger in the building. Ponzo Music in the building. So we got crew in here. We got family in here. So today on Pro Talk or Producer Talk, I wanted to really hone in on two things with you today, Kerry.
All right.
I want to hone in on the process of a music producer, and then the number two thing I want to hone in on is networking. But let's start with the process. When I first started out producing, and I'm going to just give my experience, I didn't have a process. I didn't know what I was doing. I just did. I made music for fun. I really wasn't trying to impress the homies. You know what I'm saying? I was in college. I realized I had a knack for it. I had an interest in it in high school. I used to hang out at the music store, but I didn't own any gear. As I started getting a little better, I noticed my homies reacted. So really for me, that was my process. You know what I mean? Like literally go in.
Right.
When I started to do it as a career, I started hearing all these people like I was friends with Lord Finesse. I was friends with KG from Naughty by Nature. I considered them mentors. Q-Tip from Tribe. And they always started talking to me about process. I used to look at them so confused. I was like, what?
Right.
Like, I just go in, I just go. And they're like, nah, bro, like, what's your zone? What's your inspiration? What's your vibe? You know what I mean? Set your mood, set your light, when you started, what was your process?
Well, shout out to Mick Mouse in the room, too. Shout out to Mick Mouse. I had to do that real quick. Same like you, man. I didn't really have a process in the beginning. I actually started, when I was 9 years old, I wanted to be a rapper. So I started writing my rhymes, et cetera, had little crews, had, various versions of a rap group. And then I got around high school, I met a brother by the name of Marcel, the younger brother of Strafe. And he would do production, and I would rap. And we had a group called KB and Shelby.
Okay.
We actually got a deal with B-Boy Records back in.
Congratulations, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Was it a shady deal? I know.
It was a shady deal. That's why you don't know I was on B-Boy Records.
I just know D Nice tell me stories.
I could go into that too, man. It's like, so, but the thing was, in my mind, my partner was the producer, and I was just a songwriter rapper. But I actually would say, hey, we should use this Barry White. Let's use this part and blah, blah, blah. I didn't know that was producing. I was like, the guy who makes the beat.
You were producer before you even knew you were producing.
Exactly. So I'm like, the guy who's actually programming and tapping the machine is the producer. I'm just giving him the ideas of what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then came to the part, the deal didn't work out with B-Boy Records, and we kind of part ways. He was like, I'm not doing music no more, forget all this. And I'm like, this is all I know.
Yeah. You're like, I love it.
You know, this is all I know. And I always been a fast learner. So, you know, that's when I started doing beats just for me to rap on. So my process was basically like same thing. Like I like this record, I'm gonna make my version of it, and that's how I really started. Just like making my own versions of stuff. And you know, I always heard about the SB12, so I was like, let me get the SB12. Fortunate for me, I had people that believed in me. They loaned me the money. I
Yeah.
bought a drum machine, and I had to figure it out. I was read the manuals. You know, there wasn't no YouTube or nothing. I had to read the manual, had to figure it out, and then I would be around other producers and kind of learn how they do things. So my process was just like figure it out as you go.
Yeah.
And then later in life, you know, I started getting more like, man, I notice I work better when people are around. I notice I work better when there's a certain energy in the room first. You know what I mean? But it took
Yep.
a while to figure that out. So in the beginning, it was just me trying to make a song as opposed to me trying to make beats. You know what I mean?
Yep. Dre said something similar to me one time because I was asking him about, Dre and RZA, as you know, were famous for having a whole bunch of motherfuckers in the room. And
Yeah.
I would be like, how do you get anything done? And he was like, man, I thrived off that energy. Like, people throwing ideas around, people joking or saying something in conversation that might end up being the subject matter for the song or so on and so forth. So you were similar, right? So you like that.
In between because it was just like my close people. It wasn't like
Yeah.
a whole bunch of because that would be too distracting for me. Like I learned that later. Like man, I'm easily distracted.
Oh, okay.
You know, I'm like the person that likes to keep the energy light, likes to make sure everybody's good, don't feel
Yep.
uncomfortable. So if I see somebody's face turned up, I'm like, yo, what's good? You know what I mean? Instead of
Yeah.
like,
Good. You need something? Like, yeah.
I was like, okay, we can't have that. Let me just narrow it down to who's my peoples and who's working on the song. You know what I mean? But I didn't appreciate it that much at first. But there have been times where I make music and tracks on my own, and I never, being a perfectionist at the time, I never liked it. I was like, oh, this is trash, trash, trash. And
Yeah.
somebody come over and let me hear some beats. Oh, I was just working on. Yo, that's crazy. What are you talking about? I'm like, really? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
I definitely had similar experiences because I started very in an isolated way.
yeah,
I would make the stuff literally by myself, and then when I felt comfortable showing it, then I'd show it to friends.
right.
So it definitely was a very almost insecure way, right? Meaning like,
Because for me, I never learned music. I never was trained, even with like find out ways to do the samples. I figured that out all out on my own. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And when I finally learned how, oh, this is how Pete Rock does it, and I was like, damn, everybody does like that, but nobody told me. Like,
yeah. I was fortunate in that regard because I had a couple of mentors like along the way, which was
right,
shout out to Lord Finesse. He was the first one to like really help me get my drums right.
right,
Because I went to Finesse like, man, my drums is trash. And he was like, "Oh, you're making your drums on your EPS?" He was like, stop." He was like, "Stop. Get you an SB 1200. This is that."
right,
Same thing. I didn't have no money, so one of my homies got it for me.
right.
Um, we had a question, so I'm gonna take one of these questions real quick.
You had stock sounds back then. You didn't have a whole bunch of good sounds back then. You had to really search and get the
You had to
hookup.
find because the stock sounds wasn't the sound
Wasn't it?
that wasn't the sound the streets was looking for.
Not at all.
Yeah, I can remember even programming something with the stock sounds, and I remember my friends being like, "I don't know about that one. I don't know about that one." Um, Question: what mistakes did you make at the start of your career? And this is getting a little bit off topic from the
Right,
process, but
right.
this is a question I want to talk about regarding paperwork and lawyers, like that you learned from the future. What if mistakes, if any, did you make early?
Well, the mistake was, you know, when I did take the deal with B Boy Records, I actually waited till I turned 18 so I could sign the contract on my own.
Hmm.
Like we got the contract when I was still 17, and my parents wasn't, they weren't discouraging, but they weren't, supportive. They was just like, all right, it's gonna be a fad. He's gonna get over it. He's still
Yeah,
gonna go to college, whatever. So I didn't want to go to my dad and be like, hey, I got a contract. Can you sign it for me? I need a parental signature. And he said
yeah,
no. I was just like, okay, well, I'm going to be 18 in a few months.
yeah. I'm
I
just,
stalled them out and whatever, but I signed the contract as is because it's like, man, this is one shot, one chance. Let me do it. And then my thinking was, once the music come out and we're hot, we can fix it later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was a mistake, but I appreciate it. It was more of a lesson.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't regret it because we were going along with this whole story, but one day we walked up to the office and the label was like, "Here, meet your new manager." And I was like, "Okay." I told my partner, I said, "Okay, I know we dumb as hell,
But
contract as is, but we're
yeah.
not gonna take the manager too."
Yeah.
Nah, we good. We got a manager. I was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, okay, no problem, no problem." And they try to like stall us out. You know what I mean? Stop
Yeah.
putting us in the studio. Stop doing the photos. I say, "Oh, they trying to stall us out right now." You know what I mean?
That's gangster tactics. That's what they
Exactly.
do.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I would say, just being more patient and just more, you know, focusing on who your real team is, which is the lawyer and
Yeah.
the
Which is the
accountant, whatever.
lawyer.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
really focusing on getting a team.
Um, I want to segue back in the process, but the first thing I want to talk about what do you consider your break? Like we all have those moments where okay, this is where we start to get traction in our career. What was yours?
Even the way that happened, it was Alicia Keys' first album. You know what I mean? Which actually probably wouldn't have happened if it wasn't for like the faith
Yeah.
and belief in yourself. Because it's history now, but a lot of people don't realize that album was 5 years in the making. You know what I
Wow.
mean?
Because there was a previous deal, right?
Right, she was with Columbia Records, but
Yep.
I actually started working with her. No, I actually would do like cassette vibe tapes. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like I was the guy. I got the SB12. I got a keyboard. I used to be out there in Washington Square Park freestyling with everybody, signed, unsigned artists.
Yep.
And I used to be uptown in Harlem, Rock and Will and all this. They used to do mixtapes in the back and all that with the DJ.
Yep.
So I always was like, yo, I like your vibe. Yo, you come through my crib and we could just make a mixtape. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a vibe. So that's how I met her in Washington Square Park, and she was one of the people who came through. And then
Dope. That's just dope. That's just dope. Like that's real shit right there.
and then time went by, and then she told me she had got the record deal with Columbia. I was like, that's great. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that went on for a little while, probably like a year, and then got in touch with her again. It was like, yo, how's it going? How's the music going? You know what I mean? Because I always believed in her. Like,
Yeah.
first thing she ever sang for me was like a Anita Baker song. I was just like, yo,
Yeah.
nobody signed you. I'll sign you. I don't know how to do it. Like,
Yeah.
this is crazy. I loved her tone. You know what I mean? So, fast forward, it was like, that was the point she asked me to work on her album. And I have never done R&B. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Rapper, hip hop, da da
Right.
da.
I was making beats and whatever, and I started making beats for myself, and just like you, people was like, "Yo, I like that. Yo, can I get one? Oh, you want a beat too?" Like, it's like
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? And I would throw beats on, loops on for people to freestyle to, whatever. And then she asked me, said, "Hey, can you like help me work on your album?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, yeah." She was like, "No, seriously, like stop everything you're doing and really, really help me." And I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." But in my inside, I'm like, "Oh shit, man, this is." On a major label,
Yep.
R&B album. I don't know shit about R&B, so I
Yep.
thought, I marginalized everything. I'm thinking, I do hip hop. You know,
Mhm.
I was wondering, that era was a whole different. It's like,
Yep. That's when the hip hop and R&B really came.
right, right. And then it's like, I'm not learning no piano. I want to do rap. You don't need no piano. I don't need to learn piano. You make
Right.
these, But I learned a lot, and we started working 5 years. Us developing a sound. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
then that first album came out. I mean, first, Falling came out first.
Yeah. But
And
how did you guys navigate? You had the deal at Columbia, then you lose the deal or whatever the
yeah,
situation occurred, and then you end up at Arista. But how did you guys navigate that? You know what I
that's
mean?
all Jeff Robinson.
Okay.
Jeff Robinson, who now manages her and various artists. He handled all that. I was more on the creative side, and and I told him, man, and salute to him. Like when Columbia was like, you know what? Take them braids out your hair, straighten your hair, put on a dress. He was like, no, I don't want to do that. He stuck by him. I mean, he stuck by her. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And he was like, okay, what do you want to do? You know what I mean?
She was like, I want to be me.
Right, right. At that time, new artist, unproven, unknown producer. He could have said, "Yo, cut it out. We got to do this, and then you can do what you want later." And he didn't do that, man. So I always love and respect him for that. So,
That's
and it
dope.
was, and then so it went from Columbia to Arista,
Gotcha.
and it was pretty much the same album.
Okay, now let's pause right there. That's a perfect segue.
Right,
Back to the process.
right.
Now you're on Arista. Now you got the watchful eye of Clive Davis and the team.
Yeah.
You know how Clive is.
Yes.
How did your process change then?
It,
It didn't.
it
Dope.
kept. See, the thing
That's
about
dope.
me, I always been independent minded. You know what I mean? And Lisa definitely big me up for that. It's like you get all these people in your ear telling you what you need to do, what you need to do. And all
Yeah,
I kept saying like, yo, I love what we doing. You love what we doing. Our peoples love what we doing. Let's just keep doing it.
yeah. Let's
Like
keep
we
doing
wasn't
that.
trying to
Dope.
make hit songs. We was just doing what we love, and we were studying who we love. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? It's like when we first made our first demos, it was like, damn, why does our stuff sound so thin? Like it's not, So we had to figure it out. It was like, man, all right, let's figure out what they're doing on these records that we love. You know what I mean?
yeah,
So we pick up a Stevie record and be like, okay, here's a song. Read the credits. It's like, okay, here's guitar. Oh, he got 3 guitars on this. I didn't know it was 3 guitars. This keyboard.
yeah.
Oh,
You
he has a
started. Yeah,
roulette. Oh, okay.
doing that homework. It was very similar. It's funny just the parallels between like when we made Lauren's album.
Right,
The same thing. It was like one of the things. The reason I think one of it was so great is that she had enough success with the Fugees, fortunately, that
right,
she was able to close the doors to the input.
right.
So the input just came from us in the studio. You know
Yes,
what I mean? And her,
yes,
she said, people have heard me say this many times. She said, I like reggae music, I like soul music, and I like Wu Tang. Let's
yeah,
go. You
yeah,
know what I'm saying? And we were able, but she was able to do this. You know what I mean? She was
yeah,
able. So
yeah.
that okay. So it's good to hear that. That's amazing.
Things like soul music, Wu Tang, and classical. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? It was like, all right, let's do it.
let's do it. That's dope.
Yeah. So
So
we never, you know, kept our head down. We never looked up to see what was going around and what was everybody doing. Even when we did the album, and this is an important thing I tell producers too. We locked ourselves in the room, like no radio, no whatever, no phones. We didn't have to worry about social media, but people were still texting and
yeah,
two-way pages.
total focus.
Like yo, we gonna get in this bubble. We gonna listen to the classics, and we gonna start our thing. Don't we didn't even know what was going on the radio. And that was important because we didn't want that to influence us. You know what I mean? Because from an early, from the era that I felt coming up in hip hop, the best acts had their own style and own
Yeah,
sound.
yeah. That
That was
individuality was
right.
important.
So that was still was the thinking when everyone's telling you, no, you got to be like this. This is what's hot right now. You know what I mean? And so we just did that. So even when the album dropped and it was number one, I was still working a job. I'm working a job, whatever. And somebody called me, was like, "Yo, congratulations, the album's number one." I'm like, "Yeah, stop playing, man, stop playing." Because like we knew, because mind you, we didn't get a lot of good feedback from Columbia, and
Same,
right,
same.
right, but we didn't know what was going to happen with Arista because this is also a point when Arista was trying to get rid of Clive.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that's a really
It
yeah.
was
They
really
had
shit,
the
like
power struggle going on.
on whatever.
LA involved at this point at all, or not?
Is involved because now we have the album, and Clive and Peter Edge was very supportive. I mean, not Peter. Well, Peter Edge was around, but Clive was about to start his new label because they wanted to get rid of him. It's like, nah, you could be chairman. He's like, nah, I still got some years. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I ain't done. He was like, I ain't
I
done.
mean, there's always been ageism. He's like,
Yeah,
no, I'll show you. I'm gonna start my new label. You
mhm.
know what I mean? And he went around and he got 100 million from the
Yeah,
very people who tried to get rid of him.
yeah,
Then it became like, all right, she's the premier act. So it was more like, ooh, that's a big responsibility. And we always liked our stuff and we always believed in it, but we thought people would get it, but we didn't think they would get it so fast.
yeah. Now I have a question. You work so closely with Alicia.
Mhm.
Did you feel like okay when you started working with other artists? Did you feel like you started you bringing that Alicia process into this room with other artists, or you felt like you had developed your own sort of flow on how you approached records?
I've always looked at myself as like versatile. Like when I'm working with an artist, it was like without the same thought process for me. I'm making this track for me. So when I'm working with Alicia, this is our sound together. He's producing this with me. So when I go work with another artist, I'm like, what can we come up with different together? That was my thinking.
Yeah.
I didn't think like, oh, I got a sound and I'm gonna give you my sound. That never was the thinking. It's like,
Dope.
what are you into? What do you like? And I will always ask artists, who you vibing on? What artist made you want to start making music? Let's listen to that. Let me get in your world. Then let's see how we can come up with something original. That's always been my thinking.
Okay. Question. We got a question from Mick Mouse. Do you change or modify your process based on the sound you're looking for?
I don't even like look for a sound really. You know what I mean? I really just like let the sound choose me. You know what I mean?
Okay.
I like that. You know what I mean? I like that element of surprise. That was the fun thing about digging for samples. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because you don't know what you're gonna
I
find.
don't know what you're gonna get.
And I still use, even if I use a sample or don't use a sample, to this day, I still use samples to inspire. I still dig. I still, you know what I mean? I got fresh crate right back there, just waiting for me to touch.
You got them. Travel with me.
Yeah, I'm still inspired by it because I do play. I might play a record and it's like, oh, you know what? I don't want to sample that, but I would have never written in this key. I would have never used this instrumentation.
Right.
You know what I mean? Maybe I don't like the chord progression they played, but I'm like, these sounds dope. And then they just needed to play a different progression, and that should have been fire. You know what I mean? So
that always is the case when you find that good record. It start out good, and then they go left. You like, what the hell?
You're just like, yeah, because you're like, that was right, that was it. And that's what all this shit is for.
Yes.
Because I got to be able to like hear, like kind of create that vision that I hear. And I can't just do that from VSTs. I can get close with VSTs.
Yeah.
I need the same thing with the element of surprise with all the fucking keyboards.
Right.
Now, a couple of good questions. If the listener is unsure of how to place your sound, that's a good thing. That's a comment, I guess. I was thinking that. I guess I don't know, because I've heard both, right? So I had a debate with Pharrell one time where he was saying, at first he was going from one session to another session, and the next session wanted the record that they just did. Mm-hmm. Right? He was like, damn, I want to come with something, blah, 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 And then he realized, well, wow, that means success. That means I'm being successful because now I have this sound that people want and I'm known for. Now it's up to me to figure out how to be creative within my sound, but also to deliver to people what they want. And that was so. I don't know if it's a good thing to be so, not have a style. Well,
it's interesting because and
I feel like, well, not to cut you off, I feel like you have a style. Do you feel like you have a style?
That's what I was gonna say. Interesting enough, I don't think I do. Kind of like, I guess people feel like, because I feel like Jermaine doesn't have like a style. You know what I mean? But other people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I never wanted to put myself in a box. I would say I have a certain feel. You know what I mean? Like, because I do play around with other genres, but you could probably tell by the feel of my drums and the turnarounds or whatever. Like, I notice there is certain things I do that it just feels right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't say I would have a certain style per se, but I would say I do have a certain feel.
Got you. Now been in the business for this amount of time, right? Done sessions all around the world, so on and so forth. When you come in the studio now, what's changed? What's changed about your process? Is it still just a clean chalkboard? Is it how do you approach the session now versus maybe 10 years ago?
It's still the same. It's like keeping that love and excitement from the beginning. I can say for me, going through all of this, I went through different changes because in the beginning it was more free. Because in my mind I had this excuse like, all right, I'm doing this R&B album, but I'm a hip hop dude. If it's whack, it's okay. I don't do R&B anyway. So it was like a freedom of like, I'm
You're
just
almost
doing
like the freedom of the unknown, right? Like I'm just,
I can
yeah,
do
I'm the
whatever.
kid.
Like, what are they gonna say? Oh,
Yeah,
his R&B sucks. So what? I don't care. I'm doing it. I'm a hip hop dude. You know what I mean? So it was more of a freedom of, you know, rather than a pressure of like it has to be this or whatever.
yeah,
But you know, somebody asked. Oh, I spoke to Harold recently, and we touched on it a little bit. I said, you know, he was like, yeah, I just work to keep my head down, and I don't look up and whatever. And I said, you know what? I used to be that way. I said, but I messed around and looked up one time. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And then it was like, oh shit, I better start learning what I'm doing.
yeah,
And it's like,
yeah,
oh shit, I got all these number ones. I need to have more number ones.
yeah.
You
And
know,
then when you start
I
wanting to,
got caught up in that for a little while.
yeah,
Then I noticed like, damn, now I'm trying to do something. And I was like, it didn't work. It didn't work.
yeah.
So I had to fall back and
And get back to the, yeah, get
go back
back
to
to
that
that.
freedom. Like, you know what? I got a number one just doing me, not because I was trying to do a number one. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
I think if I ever tried to do a number one, I would fail miserably anyway because I don't think I
Right,
that
right,
would probably be the worst record I did because
right.
I'm trying so you know what I mean I'm trying so hard
Exactly.
and
It's like
overthinking it.
you can't let your thoughts and your mind get in your way. And I
Yeah,
let that happen to me, and I learned a lesson. And I said, you know what? I can't get caught up in that. Go back to the original. Do what you feel. Follow your gut and trust your gut.
yeah.
That's what.
We got a good question from my man Jimmy from Brooklyn. What artist or artist would be your dream collab? So you could say one or you could say a couple.
Well, shoot. I mean, I definitely would like to work with Stevie.
Okay,
Um,
one of the greats. You go to the
yeah.
great.
I mean, I feel like respect to Stevie, but I feel like I can help him get that stuff that everybody's missing from him. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I know he just did a new deal, so I'm really interested to see
Yeah.
if
Me too.
he's where he's at sonically. Mine would be Prince. I missed my I wish I had gotten a chance to work with Prince
Right.
because I would have loved. And for him, he might have been like, "You just trying to get me back on that." If I was a girlfriend,
Yeah.
Dorothy Parker vibe. You know what I mean? Because I love that album so much.
Yeah.
Prince would probably be like, "Man, you just trying to take me back to something I already did." Che, I'm forward. And I'd be like, "Man, come on, that's it."
I'd have been too scared to work with Prince. I remember going to his house and
Oh, he scared me.
he was there and it was a jam session. I just had the cowbell and I'm just like
Yeah,
he looked at me like he grabbed the cowbell from me. He was like I was like, oh shit, I didn't know I
yeah,
worked for him. I said,
yeah.
I was like, this guy's a stickler over a cowbell. I'm like, I don't know. That's too much pressure for me.
I was at one of them jam sessions, and you had a pool table in the house, right?
Yeah.
And I play pool, so I was whooping everyone on the pool table, and he walks by me and just looks at me and leans into my ear and just says, "Oh, I could beat you," and just keeps walking. Just pops it doesn't come play, but just is like just lets me know like I could beat you.
Competitive thing, like be nice.
Yeah,
Like,
you know what I mean.
you know what I mean? Yeah.
Um,
It would be Sade as well.
oh man, Sade.
And I'm,
I danced with Sade before.
oh word.
Yeah, at a Sade after party at the spot in the meatpacking district in New York.
Yeah.
Danced with Sade before, and it was kind of like a party me and my homies snuck into because we didn't know what was going on. It was like downstairs in the spot, and it was like roped off. So we was just on some like being nosy, trying to be young and whatever,
Ropes.
sneak in, and it was a Sade's concerts after party,
Right.
and before I knew it, I danced with Sade. Um, Now let's switch gears a little bit because I feel like one of the questions I get so much from these emerging young talented producers is networking.
Right.
How to get on 2020, 2021, 2022. How when we started it was different.
Right. Right.
If you was a new producer today, how would you go about that?
I was right now it's like I'm online. I'm on, I got my social media, I got my communities and all of that. And I get people, DM, yo, listen to my music, collab bro, all this. And you notice that a lot of people do it. So what I want to say to producers and artists, there's so much at your fingertips. It's like so much. You want to grab everything. Oh, wow. And you're tweeting everybody and you whatever everybody. I say really focus on who you feel will get your vibe and whose vibe you like, and really, support what they're doing. See
So
what
really that almost
it down, focus on it. Focus on it. Like, for example, I've been doing my crucial feedback for 3.5 years, right? Going on 4 years. I started live on
congratulations.
Facebook and whatever, and then when IG went live, blah blah blah. Now we're on Twitch too, and I've seen people real, yo, Collab fam. Oh yeah, I support such and such and such. I want to work with you. And the thing I learned is things take time. Relationships take time. So that's first and foremost. You must understand relationships take time if they're going to mean something.
Yeah.
So if you're really into this artist or producer or movement, you got to take your time and really support it, be part of it, be engaged, and see what they need and be helpful. Ask them what they need. Don't just, yo fam, listen to my joint, whatever, and you're not even following me. Dogs, you're not even following me. I never seen you like anything. And you like, yo fam, can you listen? I'm like,
I get that all the time.
right. I can understand if you're like 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, but like, this is what it is. It's like everyone's doing the same thing. Everyone's trying to get on. So you need to show them that you're serious about being involved with them. You're serious about building relationship with them, not just, oh, they have connections. Let me just try them. And then I'm going to try this and try that. Too many people jumping around. And because now, like you said, things are different. We're so accessible to everyone.
Yeah, those are God bars right there, man. You just gave some jewels right there.
I mean, it's real shit. It's like, so I brought up what I'm doing is I have people who come at me, and then I have people who supported me for mad years, never asked me for anything, and now it makes me go, man, this person been on my lives for a year. Let me go check out their SoundCloud. Oh shit, like. You know what I mean?
Yeah, shout out to my community because they got my back, and I got their back. Like I got my man producer Just the One in the building. I mean, we got talent from all over the world.
Right.
They real ones. So I appreciate those jewels you dropping right there. And I've been fortunate enough to have some real ones. Shout out my man Cage. Shout out Ponzo. Shout out Yala in Germany. You know what I mean? So, we're a real family and community that we building. So I appreciate that.
That's what I'm saying. You got to have patience. You know what I mean? Like, don't just jump around and try to connect with people because they know somebody or they might could hook you up. Like, the real ones could see through that. And nobody wants to be, if you're not really down and you're just trying to get on and something pop, you're going to abandon ship anyway.
That's dope. If you were building, if you were just starting today, would you build a label?
No. Because even when we went to B-Boy, it was an indie label.
Yeah, you just feel like that's a lost product. That's a lost.
Only because I seen the before. Like all the most creative hip hop was on independence.
Yeah.
When the majors came, it started changing everything.
Yeah.
Started like
saturating the sound.
We weren't even on the radio. You had to hear hip hop late night. So getting on the radio wasn't a big deal. Like that wasn't the goal.
Yep.
Radio song. You know what I mean? It was like, can I get on Stretching Bobito or whatever? And you know what I mean? So, and I've been through the whole process of being offered the label and going to the boardroom and having people listen to songs, and you see everybody at that time on their BlackBerry and this one and that one and all these people who are not from the culture sitting here, and it's like, you think this could be a single? And they're like, oh no. And the president says yes. Oh yeah, it's hot. I'm like,
oh yeah. The color today is yellow. You know what I mean? Yeah.
These are people who's supposed to choose my single. Help me. Nah, I'm good. You know what I mean? And I realized that all the new music, all the creative music, always comes from independence, and majors are not proactive; they're reactive. You have to pretty much show that you're popping first anyway for them to be interested, as opposed to them signing you and developing you, et cetera, to help you. And you give up a lot for them really not doing anything, just capitalizing off of what you may or may not have built already. And now, thanks to technology, you can, because the main thing was like, I want to make a record. The label's going to put it in all the stores, and that was the thing. We don't have to worry about that anymore.
Yeah, right. That barrier of entry has been removed.
No distribution now. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had a great conversation today. I actually spoke with Avery,
Right.
one of the founders of Republic,
Wow.
and we were commenting on Mike Herron's deal, right, where Mike Herron took his company fully independent.
Right.
So I actually had just coincidentally spoke to Mike Herron yesterday,
Right.
and um, I was curious about the move and so forth. And the biggest thing he said to me was it was about freedom. It was about being in the major label system, and he's been damn near a lifelong career major
Yeah.
label guy, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, is that it was restrictive, right? Meaning, and then obviously with this modern music business, it affected the agility.
Right.
So going back to us as producers and actually being just, I feel like protectors and projectors of the culture. I have this saying for my company. I say this. I have all these things on my wall, and one of them is respect the culture,
Mhm.
protect the culture, reflect the culture, and then project the culture.
Nice. I like that.
Yeah, and the reason being is I feel like, and tell me if you feel like this. I always felt like I was truly an ambassador of this because unlike you, I did try to rap, right? But unlike you, you could actually rap.
Right.
I heard myself rap, and that was the start and stop of my rap career in one day,
Right.
and that's what the day I became a producer.
Right.
So, but I really felt what the one thing is I never felt like a tourist. I
Right.
felt authentic. I felt like
Yeah.
I grew up, trying to spin on a cardboard box that I had ripped
Yeah.
apart and from my grandfather's basement when my grandfather came and was like, "Boy, what'd you do to my box?" You know what I mean? Like, so every step of the way. I mean, I've been there with my boy. We came to the court when he had the box and they tried to take his box. You know what I'm saying? So the point being is I've always felt authentic. So moving to 2020, what do you feel about that? Like, what do you just feel about that? Because I get questions. I got a kid, like, who's a really good kid who came in. He's a white kid. He's like, I want to rap, and I feel like the culture is there if you respect it. And I don't get me wrong, in some situations, I don't feel like it's respected properly. That's just me. But how do you feel about it's 2021? You know what hip hop is at, where R&B is at. What do you feel about the state of it now?
I feel it's. I feel like there's a resurgence happening because of people like us, and because of like the Noris and the Fat Joes and everyone kind of schooling everybody on the culture.
Mhm.
It's a resurgence. You know what I
Yep.
mean?
Shout
And
out to Joe Budden.
yeah, and it's a necessity because that is the one thing is like people be like, oh, no one respects hip hop culture and such, and with rock cultures and this and that. But we grew up always hearing about the rock legends and their stories. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And we might have had a little behind the music on MTV for a little while,
Yeah.
but that's come and gone to these millennials and to these, especially Gen Z.
Yeah.
So I feel it's a resurgence, but yeah, I'm very feel like I'm an ambassador. If someone asks me when stuff started, I seen it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, you know, we
Seen
weren't
it. You was in Washington Square Park,
we
freestylers.
right. We weren't the first generation, but we were right behind them. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like the original hip hop dudes are in their 60s, damn near 70 now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So
Yep.
we saw it and we looked up to it and we respected. And you had to really be from the culture to be allowed to dance. So when you was whack, get out of here.
Yeah. Yeah. He was immediately
You was dumb.
canceled.
You was whack on the mic. You get smacked in the mouth. Like get out of here. You don't
Yeah.
rap. Like you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like So it was a certain way you had to earn. You know what I mean? And that was part of the reason why we did it. We wanted to earn respect in our hoods. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I kind of want to. I kind of want to. This is my personal brand. I can't speak for the industry, but I
Right.
want to bring back that accountability for it because
Yes.
right now I get it that there's so much money involved, right? Meaning you can make a record in your bedroom and put it out tomorrow, right? I just read a story about a young lady who put a song out and it blew up, right? Before you know it, she was making, she's a sophomore in high school, 15-year old, got $10,000 checks coming in from streaming and so forth. So those are real stories that happen. But all I'm saying is, I still think people need to strive to make dope shit. You know
I
what I mean? Just don't settle for mediocrity, because that's this. There's so much mediocre.
but I think we're at a pivotal point because I say because everyone could put music up so easily and relatively for nothing, that in order for you to stand out, it has to be great. You can't be mediocre. The only reason why we may hear mediocre music is because these majors are putting money behind it. You know what I mean? But that's not gonna last.
No, that's why we got to be the revolution. You know what I mean? That's why producer talk, crucial feedback. That's why we have it, because we got to be the revolution. We the ones, they might come for us at some point because we talking that shit. They don't want. They don't,
Us.
yeah, we giving away some codes, and we giving away some cheat codes, and,
Hey,
they don't want to hear that.
the information revolution. This is the information revolution. So everything you want to know, you can find out so much easier. That's the difference between when we came up. Everything was a secret. Everything you
Yeah,
had,
and if you couldn't get in that cool circle or that
right,
circle,
it wouldn't tell you
yeah,
nothing. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yep, I
So,
do know.
yeah, we're at a
Um,
point.
in conclusion, I love the bars which you'd said earlier, just in terms of the networking, and someone even said it, like the key thing about building a relationship is to actually build a relationship.
Right,
My man Ponzo reiterated that.
right.
I feel like there's an art to that. I
Yeah.
feel like there's an art to how you approach people, how you deal with them respectfully. You touched on that, like, yo, play my shit, check my shit out, da da. Nah, it's a whole process, and I think the ones who are listening, who are going to see this, that really pay attention to that, they're going to master that art. They're going
Right,
to master that art, and they're going to build these relationships that they need to build
right.
their businesses and build their careers. So I think that was an amazing point that you brought out. The reason I wanted to talk about the process more, though, is I want people to create. I want to get back to that quality control. You know
Right,
what I mean?
right,
I think
right.
the one thing that I could say, and one of the reasons I was honored to have you on the show, is, to me, that's one of the things your career has been a testament, is that it's always been a high level of quality. Do you feel that was just your personal taste? Like that was just like you were like, yo, I'm not gonna let it out until it's
Well, it was definitely a taste. My father, you know, as I say, even though he wasn't really supportive at first of me doing music, he was the type of man that said, "Yo, I don't care what you do and what you become. You just better do your best and be the best. Even if you're gonna be a bum, you better be the best bum there is out there."
yeah,
I mean, so that
yeah,
was always my like, all right, if I'm gonna do these records, they gotta be the best. So I would put time into my beats, put time into my rhymes. You know what I
yeah.
mean? Because that was my programming. Like, be the best, and everybody I liked was excellent in what they did. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
And you
that
know,
and there's also a little intimidation with that too. It's like, am I as good as this one? Am I as good as that? But then it was like, do the best I can.
yeah,
Work on making myself better. You know what I mean?
yeah. I think that's important, because if you make the best version of you, you can't be mad at that, right? Meaning
Bad at that.
you can only be mad when you didn't do that. When
Exactly.
you, when you know you bullshitted, when you
No,
know,
bullshit is your way.
oh shit, I could have stayed in the lab tonight, but they was at the club. You know what I mean?
You know what I mean? I know I was bullshit. I know I waited to the last minute
Yeah, I
to
know I
find
went.
these
I know
files.
I went fucked off that. You know what I mean?
I
I
know.
know. I know the mix wasn't right. I
Exactly.
get a lot of disclaimers, like, we get, and I'm okay with that, because I don't mind people showing me a glimpse into the process or sharing their music with me when it's rough. But
Right.
when it's finished, I hope that they put their final touches on it and their best foot forward.
Right. Right. Right.
Um, because the guys, that's the one thing I do believe, that what was that saying? Steel sharpens steel.
Yes. Yes. Still
I
sharp.
was, coming through Dre and coming through these people, man. You couldn't play no shit. You couldn't, there wasn't no disclaimers.
Yeah.
I'll tell you this one story, and then we wrap it up.
Okay.
I was this is when I first met Dre, right? And I used
Right.
to come in, play beats for Dre.
Right.
Dude, one day, might have been my second week meeting Dre, my second time coming to come play beats.
Right.
And at this point, I was already Che, so I was already album of the year Grammy. I was already, you know, millions of records under my belt, but it still was Dre, right? So I still had that respect in that. To the guy before me, yeah, so the guy before me goes, he plays a beat. Dre's like, next one, right? And you can see the dude talking under his breath, like basically like, fuck that. That shit was fire. Like, you sleeping, son. Like, you know what I mean? Doing all that. Almost on some DMX shit. Like, nah, son, do it. Like, you know what I mean? So then Dre don't say nothing, plays the next one. He listens for a second. He's like, yeah, nah, that's not it. Next one. So now the dude's getting hot. Like, oh, now you sleeping on me type shit. And yeah, like you sleeping on me, you know, whatever. So he says some shit like under his breath. Like they're like you bugging out or something, right? So then Dre heard him. Dre turns to him and was like, yo, not only did I was trying to be respectful. Not only did I not like them first two beats, I thought they was trash. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he just goes in. Just goes in. He's like, matter of fact, get your shit. I'll see you later. Take care. You know, God bless, you know, see. And then he turns to me like, Che, you're next. So I say all that to say, you gotta have your shit ready. You know what I mean?
Have it ready.
Because if you don't got your shit ready, I ain't trying to get that. I ain't trying to get that energy.
No doubt. And don't be happy about your whack shit either.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, damn, you sleeping on me, son. Like, yeah, I was sitting there like, oh, and I was like, then he was like, next. I was like, damn, you know. But all that to say is, man, thank you, man. It's been a pleasure, man, just hearing the stories and the journey.
Yeah, man.
And wish you much success on all the endeavors. And I look forward to what we can do together.
Yeah, man.
It's time. It's overdue.
Like I said, it's a resurgence. It's time, man. It's time.
Yeah. Appreciate you for being on Producer Talk. You ever need me for anything, I'm there. You know what I mean?
Same here, brother. Same here.
Yeah, man. We gotta keep giving the youngsters and the youths and even the adult youths.
Right.
I don't care what age you are. We got to keep sharing the information because it's never too late to learn. You know, everybody knows this. I told him I sat with Quincy last year, and he said to me, and this was before I turned 50, and I was 49, and he turned to me and he said. He was like, well, you know, you talking like, you know, you the 50-year-old producer, this and that. He's like, you know what I did when I turned 50? I was like, what? He was like, Thriller. It's like, oh, shit. I was like, okay, now I'm just getting started. You know what I mean?
That's what keeps going to. I found out that fact a few years ago. I was like, wow, how did I miss that?
Yeah, he hit me with a bar with that one. So that really, I'm not going to lie, that really put the battery in my back because then I think I was already one of them old young cats, right? Meaning I'm old, but I'm young. Like I still wear T-shirts every day. You know, my wife would probably like, damn, man, can you be an adult? Yeah, you know, she's like, can you be an adult? I got toys in here. Like I got bikes out there.
Hobbies, yeah, man. You gotta stay young at heart, though. You gotta stay young at heart, man. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, because I truly believe that there's anything is possible, man. I truly believe that. Hip hop has shown me that our careers are testament to that, right? You know what I mean?
Also, as I said, we are like the bridge generation. Like we seen before, we saw during, and now we can help what's going to happen after.
Exactly.
It never like it used to be. You know, everybody thought of hip hop as a young game because it was brand. It's young. You never had a successful 50-year-old rapper. Now you got Jay-Z. You know what I mean?
You got Jay-Z, you got Dre.
Rapping at 30, no one wants to see his grandpa. Now he's 40 rapping. Like,
yep.
So this is uncharted territory. So we got to get that old thinking out of our mind that, there
is no limits. Because if you think about musicians, right? There's no old musician. You know, if you play an instrument, you play an instrument till you know.
And you get better.
Yeah.
With experience. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. So, with that said, man, the parting gem I want to leave y'all with is learn how to network, build your network, strengthen your networks, and master your process. Whatever your process is, master your process. Thank you, my brother, for joining me on Pro Talk today.
Thank you, Shay.
And you know, stay safe, stay COVID free.
COVID free. You know what I mean?
I almost stutter when I say it.
Sucker free, COVID free.
Yeah, COVID free. Stay sucker free, stay COVID free. All right, my brother. Peace.
Peace.
Trevor, take us out of here.